Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Tony Elrod.
And I'm Scott Smith.
And we are honored that you chose to join us again today as we dive deeper into principles that will make your church healthy. You know, Scott, one of the things we hear from a lot of pastors and we ourselves that are passionate about is revival. We really want revival to take place in our church. Now I know that means a lot of things to a lot of different people, but regardless, we want revival. But even if God decides to send a move our way, unless we have certain principles in place, we won't be able to sustain it.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, when we talk revival, that's a broad term that we're not going to articulate and divide and figure out all the nuances of that. But part of what we mean by that is obviously we want to move of God. We want people to show up, people to get saved and increase, not just spiritually, but also numerically. And as you mentioned, we have to be prepared for that. We talked last video about structuring for that growth and being prepared for that growth. And so we want to get real practical today and talk from the parking lot to the foyer and just give you some principles to help you be prepared for those people coming.
That's right. So the first thing we want you to do is for you as the pastor to start thinking like a first-time guest. Now, a lot of times we walk into new places and we're first there, first time we've ever been there, and we're wondering, where am I supposed to go to? What am I supposed to do? We go to the same church every week. We know exactly where everything is, but does everyone else know where everything is? So when people drive by your property, what does it say to them? Is it inviting? Is it appealing? Is everything in place? Do they know what they're supposed to do when they drive on your property?
Yeah, nonverbal communication may be a way we would say it. We're communicating loudly to our community and to everyone that is driving by our church facility by how it looks, you know, how well we're maintaining it, the way that we're taking care of it. The parking lot, is it blown off? Is the grass cut? The trees right now, you know, do they need to be trimmed back? When I pull in, is my car going to get scraped by, you know, the limbs that are coming back or the bushes? Do I need new stuff in my beds, you know, flower beds, things of that nature? And what about the old church sign?
Church signs, that's a pet peeve of mine. Like, people have modern day digital ones. Some of them have the old school signs. Are you keeping them current?
Yeah.
Because the truth is that sign tells the community all about your church. It's your information center. Its appearance tells them what you're like on the inside. I drive by this particular church every day taking my kids to school. And now for the last couple of weeks, it's said this: wise men still seek him. It's great, isn't it? You love that?
Good.
It really is.
I like that.
The problem is, it's February, okay? So we're so far behind now that what that actually says to your community is, there's nothing happening in this building.
Oh, well,
why would you want to come here?
That's good. That's good. That again, that nonverbal communication, as you say, you know, people are kind of going by and going, "Oh, that's cool," and like you say, just kind of raising the eyebrow and going, "I think we're closer to Easter than we are, you know, to Christmas." But and simple things, you know, just you know, have we taken care of what God has given us? This is God's property, and we want to take care of it better than we do our own property. And so that's great. Second principle will be, how do we make them feel welcome? You know, I mean, from the time they drive onto our property, how do we make them feel welcome?
I think one major thing that you need to have is someone outside. We call them parking lot greeters.
Right.
Sometimes we put our teenagers at the road, not too close to the road, but right inside the parking lot. They'll be holding a handheld sign that says, "Welcome, thanks for being here." We don't want them to be too overzealous. They're not sponsoring a car wash. They're welcoming people in, you know, so we don't want them hanging out on the road waving at people. We just want them welcoming people in, making sure that once they arrive, they know where to come to.
Right.
They know where to park, where not to park. Sometimes we have so many reserve signs at our churches that people, you know, where am I supposed to park? Listen, Pastor, let me give you some encouragement here, okay? You should be the first one there. You don't need a reserved parking space, okay? The people up front need to be your first-time guest or your elderly.
That's also nonverbal communication.
Nonverbal communication.
I'm the most important person that's showing up today, not the guest, but me, and that's the wrong message, you know. But you know as well as I do, Pastor Tony, that coming to church on a Sunday morning, the devil's going to fight you.
Right.
So if you've got kids, of course, obviously, if you're married, things don't always go as planned on a Sunday morning. So a number of our people are going to be coming, and they're not going to be in the best mood getting to church, and they're questioning whether they should even be coming. They know they should, but I'm so frustrated. The kids are wearing mismatched clothes or shoes or what's happening. They got stuff all over their faces. And when they drive onto our parking lot, the last thing they want to do is figure out, where do I go? Where do I park? What do I do? And by having someone out there, and listen, I don't care if you're running 10 people, I bet you have someone in your congregation that says, don't put me back there with the kids. You know, I'm not going to stand up and preach, but I could go outside and wave and just motion for somewhere. Maybe I've got a coned off area for where they go. And when you say, well, there's only 6 cars, there's only 10 cars, we have 20 spaces, we don't have, that's not where we want to be. Remember, we're preparing for that growth.
And it also has someone there that tells them where to go into the building.
Right.
Sometimes the building may look confusing to them. Obviously, if you have an old traditional style building, we think, hey, we're supposed to walk in the front door. And a lot of people have actually changed that.
Right.
So that person is also pointing them to exactly where they're supposed to enter the building. And once you enter the building, who's there to greet them? Do you have door greeters? Does their breath smell nice? Are they presentable? Are they talking to other people? Or are they focusing on the people that are walking in the door?
Yeah, and just some simple things, just stick on name badges, lanyards if you want to, something that identifies, hey, I'm here to help you, I'm here to serve you, I'm here to answer your questions, and obviously I shouldn't be talking to everyone else, that's fine, but my attention is making sure I'm opening the doors and waving at people, glad to see you. Here's kind of a pet peeve. My kids are getting older now, but when they were younger, toddlers, and you may have one in a baby carrier, and then you got this backpack or the bag that your wife picked out, and you're holding the other kid, and you walk up and somebody says, hey, how are you doing? You know, I want to shake your hand, you're going, do I put my kid down? You know, don't be, think about them. Hey, can I grab that bag? Obviously, I'm going to grab the door, wave at them, allow them to come in, and as you say, greet them. And then what's the ambiance in the room? You could take your iPhone or whatever phone you have and hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker that you could probably get for, a small amount of money, and just have some worship music or some type of music playing in the background that's inviting. What kind of atmosphere are you setting?
And then once they enter that room, they're looking for a couple of things. You need to have a clearly marked information desk. Yeah. And behind that information desk needs to be somebody that knows all the information. Okay? Yeah. They don't need to have to call somebody and ask somebody. They need to be current on everything that's happening at your church, all that's going on. And as well, the next person they need to see is new here. Like if I'm new, I need to know some information. Number one, where do I check my kids in at? So for us, and I know you as well, Pastor Scott, you have a designated person in that foyer and a desk that's specifically for people that are new there that day. And they'll take them from the time they walk in, and they'll spend the rest of the day with them so that they know exactly where to go and exactly what to do.
Right. And for some of you that may be going, whoa. We went to cleaning out the parking lot to, you want a person in the parking lot, a person at the door, is a person here, a person there. If nothing else, the third thing we'd say is have good, clear signage.
That's good.
Good, clear signage. When I come in, I hope there's someone at the door waving, opening the door for me, but I don't really want to say, hey, can you tell me where the restroom is? Hey, can you know what I mean? It's helpful to walk in and be able to know, okay, I see it. It's clearly marked. And we look and we go, well, I know where the restroom is, right? And so we don't think about it, but where is signage in the room to let you know where to go?
And it needs to be up high so that people can see it over the tops of their heads. I'm like you. I don't mind asking someone where the sanctuary is. I do not want to ask anyone where the restroom is. Okay, right. That's a little embarrassing. So let's make sure that is clearly marked. If you have coffee, make sure that they know where they can go and get the coffee, if they can get a snack. If you don't want them to have coffee in the sanctuary, you need to have that clearly marked somewhere. Coffee's not allowed in the sanctuary, or coffee is allowed in the sanctuary. The last thing you want to do is embarrass a first-time guest.
Right. And some people, listen, we don't want to get into a debate of, well, you shouldn't be serving coffee in your church. Well, it's okay to serve coffee in your church. You do you.
Right.
Really what we're saying by talking about coffee and different things is when people walk into the lobby area, it should be inviting, the ambiance. I've got music playing. There are people socializing, talking. Coffee's a good way to help them socialize. Coffee's a good way to help them stay awake and say amen when you're preaching, if you got some good caffeine in. And one of the things that we talk about in some of our processes with even our people, I'll mention it sometimes in a sermon when it fits, and that is, hey, when people walk in the door you don't recognize, specifically if the church is smaller, a lot of times we don't mean to do this, but we're trying to go, do I know that person? Do you know what I mean? What? I think I've seen that. And our face looks like, how dare you? Are you kidding me? I can't believe you showed up. So we always tell people, say, hey, with a smile on your face, go, do I know that person? You know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to wave at them and try to figure that out because we're communicating. I've been into small restaurants in a small town where it's like the movies and everything stops, gets quiet. And it's like, who are you? Where did you come from? And it's like, immediately I'm like, I think I should just leave because I don't belong here. How many times are we doing that? That's a part of the making them feel welcome. That's a part of the ambiance. That's a part of the environment that we're creating, what we would call a culture where people feel welcomed in our buildings.
One thing coffee does as well, and again, you do you on this, but it creates an environment in your foyer where people hang out and they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Now, if I walk into a foyer and it's a new place and there's no one in there, it's kind of like a restaurant, If there's nobody there, there's a reason for that. But a true sign of a healthy church is interaction.
Yeah.
So when people interact with each other before service and after service, Pastor, you may be saying, I wish everybody would just hurry and get out of the building after church where I can go have lunch. But the truth is, if your people are hanging out after church and talking, that's a great thing.
Right.
That's a sign of health. And you want to help that and make sure that they're continuing to do that.
Right. And it's just overall promoting that healthy culture of, church is obviously we're coming to worship God, to get a word from God, like all these things, but we're also coming to interact, to have fellowship, to have community and to love one another, to get to know one another. Right. And so it can be an environment that's fun, that's exciting.
Fun.
The Bible,
it's okay
the Bible says I was glad when they said, right? Not I was mad or I was sad. Sometimes growing up I was sad when they said, let's go to church. I want people to go, oh man, I get to go. Not I've got to go to church. No, I get to go to church today.
Good. There's a couple of things people really want. They want to be informed.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they know what's going on. They want to feel welcome.
Right.
They want to feel God's presence.
Yes.
More than ever before now, every survey that we're reading is showing us people are not just going to church to go to church.
Yeah.
They want to feel God's presence.
Right.
And they really want to know that you care.
Yes. Yes. That's so critical. So critical. People want to know. Another thing that's coming out post-COVID is people were so isolated for so long. They want to connect. They want to be at a place, again, where God's presence is there. And as you say, people love them, they care about them, and they want them to be there.
That's good. So to recap this, number one, you think about that first-time guest. Number two, how are you making them feel welcome? And then, are you creating the right atmosphere and having the right signage? If you can incorporate all these things, you're going to have a successful church.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We're so glad that you tuned in today, and hope that you'll stay tuned in with us again. And if you have any questions, need resources, or any follow-up to this, you can get our information that's available to you on the screen now. We'd love to help you out any way we can.
That's right. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.